Hello Tim, it's Darren. I'm doing this audit for you as required. So this is your client, Cash Protection Agency. I understand this is a WordPress website and it wants to be transformed into a mobile responsive website. So let's just confirm that it is non-responsive. So yeah, okay. And it's a WordPress theme. So if I go view page source, I should be able to get some clues as to what theme it's using. All I can see is that it says WP content themes /CPA, and I don't know if that's a custom theme or something that they've bought. But what I have noticed is that if I just click onto any one of these pages, if I can draw your attention to the URL area up here, can you see that .html? You don't often see that on WordPress websites. Normally it'll just be like that. It'll be what you call naked, and I'm just wondering if I do actually try and execute services, will it redirect? No, that's a page not found, and it seems to have redirected to the news feed by default. So it seems that this particular theme has to have HTML. So if I build a whole new theme, I need to imitate all of these permalinks exactly as they are. You say that the client doesn't want to lose any SEO benefits that they've already got. So I'm going to have to make sure that I create .html as the suffix. You can do that using htaccess, or you can do it, you should be able to do it from within the settings panel, permalinks, I believe. So straight away there's just things that you've got to watch out for, because you want to make sure that you don't lose any of that. So I really would like to have a peek into the dashboard of this website, because I'd just be guessing as to how it's been created in the back end. So let's just go through each of the menus. Let's just have a look at Pay Online first of all, because things like that attract my attention, because I know it's usually a PHP form of some kind. So this is some kind of payment form. It says pay online, but is it asking for payment details? It says state as well. It seems to be that's for US customers. I'm just curious to know how this is created. This could have been created with something like Contact Form 7, which is a pretty common form that you can use in WordPress for sending things, not necessarily just emails, but for sending information. I don't know what this has been created with. It could be any plugin, it could be a custom job, I've got no idea. If I look at the contact page, again, this is a form. I'm wondering if there's any way to get a clue as to what it's been created with. If I inspect some of these HTML containers, it might give me a clue. That's Contact Form 7. Can you see there, Tim? It says class equals WPCF7. Straight away I know that's Contact Form 7. So maybe if I go back to the Pay Online form, maybe I can figure out that this might be Contact Form 7 as well. I'm not sure if it is though, because that looks like a custom button, that submit button. Doesn't look like Contact Form 7. That's my hunch. So I don't know what that is. That could be some other plugin. So if I'm to rebuild this theme, I've got to try and use the same code that already exists within the site, and that might not. It's easier said than done. Transplanting things from one site to another. What else is there? Let's have a look at the news feed. So again, if I'm to completely change the theme and mobilize it, there's no guarantee that the news feed is going to be displayed in the exact same way. That's the featured image, I take it. If I click through, I'm guessing that image will be there. There it is, yeah. So that's these posts are using what you call featured images. They're using excerpts by the looks of things, or maybe there's a content limit where you only show a certain amount of words, and then you have the read more button. So what I'm saying is I might not be able to get it exactly like this. I can see it looks like they've got certain colours, for example. They've got a certain typeface. Adding the typeface should be pretty simple. Let's just have a look and see if we can find out what that is. Font family. Nexa bold regular. That's probably a custom font which is embedded in the style sheet. There's probably a font kit. There'll be a true type font, an open type font, an SVG, EOT, WOFF. If I can get hold of the original font, just the open type or the true type font, I can develop a whole new font kit and recreate that. What else have we got? Our approach. Okay, pretty simple page. Yeah. Again, I'm guessing it doesn't have to be exactly like this. I mean, it wouldn't matter if that image was, on the right instead of the left, for example. Why choose us? See, what I'm looking for is problems. That I'm trying to foresee any problems down the road. This looks pretty simple. Yeah, I can recreate all of that. I can create these containers. I'd have to write some new HTML containers and a bit of custom CSS. Even if you download a mobile responsive template, it's never a job as just sticking it all in. You've usually got to do a lot of tweaking. Yeah, that seems pretty simple. And let's look at services. We've got a drop-down menu there, custom menu. That's easily done in WordPress. So this is like the silo structure. So you've got services, and then you've got the drop-down menu. But in case that drop-down menu didn't work, they've also linked to those pages manually. So if I click read more, that takes me onto credit checks. It's a blog post. I thought that might be a static page, but they've obviously like deep linked to a blog post. Yeah, I've just been mindful of the sidebar as well. I've noticed that every time I've clicked a page, the sidebar has been the same. Interestingly, in WordPress you can create custom sidebars, so for certain pages you can show a different sidebar. I'm not saying I do that, but I might come across, there might be a page deep within the website somewhere where there is a custom sidebar, so I'll keep my eyes peeled for that as I'm poking around. It looks a pretty simple site actually. I know there's some JavaScript on some of the links which suggests they've got it linked into analytics. I'll show you that in a second. Let's see how far back the news feed goes. I'm going to have to I might not have to rewrite these posts, because if I rebuild the site, I shouldn't have to touch any of this, except for a bit of CSS, but I shouldn't have to touch a lot of the content, because that's in the database. WordPress content is stored in the SQL file. I can always export the database and re-import it. In fact, I'm going to have to do that because I'll be building it in WAMP. I'm just curious to know how far back the archives go. Okay, let me just do another page source view. Archives, go back to 2010. Okay, that's a quick way of answering the question. 2010, and there could be 10 to 15 posts in each month. There's the style sheet. Let's have a look at that. Let's have a shufty at the style sheet. Okay, so they've got a mailing list as well. MailChimp. I think this looks like a custom theme to me. It doesn't look like it's a commercially available theme. It looks like someone's just made it from scratch. If I'm to get a new theme, I'm going to have to import a lot of this CSS in there, because there's a lot of custom rules that have been written. For example, that's calling a PNG for part of the background image. LinkedIn, it says. I'm guessing that's that up there. Yeah, .LinkedIn. Well, I use the Genesis framework, so I know a better way to add those social icons. As long as I've got some leeway in the design. I mean, I'm not going to use different colours or a different font, but it's going to have to be a bit different in terms of layout. Yeah, let's have a look. There was some JavaScript I noticed earlier on. I was inspecting these. If I go inspect, my element inspector comes up, and can you see where it says div class CTA1 on click equals location dot, and then it's got href. That's some kind of JavaScript which is probably tied into Google Analytics, so that it might be Google Analytics goals, where you can measure certain things like clicks and downloads and that sort of thing. I think it's going to be a bit more than £500 to do this. I think it's probably a bigger job than I first anticipated. What I'd really like to do is just take a look at the back end of the dashboard. If I could get access somehow, if I could get a copy of this site. I don't know how you'd do that. The client obviously needs some confidentiality. You can't just go letting anybody poke around in the dashboard. I'd like a copy of it, ideally, a copy of the database and a copy of all the theme files, so I can set it up in WAMP and have a look around and tell you if I can do it. There's no charge for that. So overall, at this moment in time, I'm about 60% confident I can do this. If I can find out more about this, I'll be able to say that I'm 90% confident. If I can play around with it and have a poke around, I'll be able to tell you whether or not I'm 100% confident that I'll do this. So that's my audit for now. That's about as far as I can go. So if you've got any other questions, let me know, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks. Bye.